That was our senior reporter, Beauregard Trump. We will indeed keep you updated on this story as the evening progresses. In other news, top officials in Robert Mugabe's party could be prosecuted in South Africa for crimes against humanity. South African authorities have been ordered to investigate human rights abuses in the run-up to Zimbabwe and prosecute should they cross the border.
Morgan Tsvangirai was the most famous victim of police brutality ahead of Zim's 2008 elections. But he was not the only one. Several members of his party, the MDC, alleged they were detained and tortured at the command of Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF. Mugabe and several members of his party are already under international sanction for suspected human rights abuse. But South African police and prosecutors had refused to investigate, saying this would hamper the country's mediation efforts in Zimbabwe. Now a High Court judge here has ruled that refusal unlawful, inconsistent with the Constitution and therefore invalid. Judge Hans Fabricius said South Africa is bound to investigate and prosecute international crimes under the Rome Statute and under its own International Criminal Act. The Zimbabwe Exile Forum and the Southern African Litigation Centre brought the court action. They've welcomed the ruling.
And it's a triumph of justice. It is actually a triumph for the victims of torture. It is a triumph of the rule of law, of our political considerations, and we are very, very happy about it.
Individuals who have committed the worst crimes the world over, genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, will not be able to enjoy South Africa as a safe haven.
South Africa's National Prosecuting Authority says it will study the judgment before deciding whether to appeal.
Well, Indiwe Zulu, a key member of South Africa's mediation team in Zimbabwe, has told eNews Africa she doesn't believe the ruling will compromise mediation efforts. Well, this is indeed a fascinating tale. For more perspective on it, I'm now joined in studio by Nicole Fritz. She's the Executive Director for the Southern Africa Litigation Centre. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming in. Can you just tell us what is the significance of this ruling?
Well, the ruling is landmark. It's precedent-setting. It's the first time that a South African court has given content and interpretation to South Africa's obligations in terms of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court and South Africa's own domesticating legislation, the ICC Act. It holds that the South African investigating and prosecuting authorities acted unconstitutionally and unlawfully in not taking our request for investigation further, and it now orders them to investigate our dossier.
Now, Nicole, can you just run us through some of the abuses and crimes that have indeed been alleged?
Right. So our dossier makes the case that systematic crimes of torture amounting to a crime against humanity have been committed in Zimbabwe. We documented those assiduously, specifically events in 2007 relating to the arrests of large numbers of the opposition, that they were detained for several days, nights, that they were tortured consecutively over those days and nights. Our dossier contains their affidavits. It contains medical documentation testifying to the torture. But we would say that whilst our dossier obviously relates to those specific incidents, this case means that it will be possible for investigation and prosecution of crimes that happened afterwards. So obviously our dossier was submitted just before the 2008 elections, when we saw a spiral in violence in Zimbabwe.
Now, Nicole, according to your dossier and indeed other evidence and information, who exactly is likely to be put in the frame? Could, for example, Robert Mugabe be tried?
Well, we're not disclosing the identities of the perpetrators. We have made those identities known to the prosecuting authorities. To disclose those names would obviously sabotage, jeopardize the investigations, because South African authorities would only be able to investigate and prosecute if they're present on South Africa's territory. But I would say that the perpetrators named range from mid-level police officers right to the very highest officials in Zimbabwe.
All right, well, we'll see how that indeed evolves. Nicole, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much.
Okay, that was Nicole Fritz, the Executive Director for the Southern Africa Litigation Centre.